The AFL season is back for 2023 and so is the footy tipping. We're finally back for the first round of the AFL footy tips for 2023. I'll tell you what, I've been missing the footy for that long and we're finally back into things. The footy season starts this week, round 1, 3 days away. I thought I'll also quickly announce that there will be a new tipping competition for 2023. I like to reset new competitions for every year. So if you were part of the last one, join the new one. The new one's down in the description down below. Cardman 22's tipping competition for 2023. So yeah, for sure, join the tipping comp, be a part of the fun, and be in with a chance to win some great prizes that will be up for grabs as well in the end of the season. Let's try and get to, 650 members? Let's do that. 650 members by the start of round 1 at Richmond and Carlton. I reckon we can do that. I reckon we'll set that goal for the subscribers. To be completely honest with you, I think personally round 1 is always the toughest round to predict and tip because you never quite know how teams are going to play or fare in certain seasons. So the tradition continues. We've got the first game of the round on the Thursday again. We've got Richmond take on Carlton at the MCG. Now, this has been the first game of the season for pretty much every year besides the last one. And, most of the matchups between these two sides are always, pretty uneven. The Tigers are always the better side. But finally, we've got two sides on the rise. Very, very similar sides, I reckon, on the ladder. I think they'll finish in a similar position. So we're set for a cracker for round 1. I really am excited about this game. I'm looking forward to see Richmond's new recruits, Taranto and Hopper, and to see how their forward line's going to function. And then Carlton as well. The teams aren't announced yet, but I think Cripps is going to be playing. Mackay's going to be playing, who was rested in the last week. I'm not sure about Walsh yet, though. I think he's missing the first couple of weeks. I reckon this is the sort of game that's going to be tight for a lot of it, but then it'll just be won in like a patch of 10 minutes. A team will just get on top of the play and then dominate, kicking like a string of 3 or 4 goals in 10 minutes. Blues are capable of doing that. I didn't tip the Blues last year in round 1. I went for the Tigers and the Blues got the win. So I'm going to go the Blues this time round. I think the Blues are going to have a really good season. Same with the Tigers. Carlton to win it by 10 points. And I forgot to mention as well, the big calls will also be brought back and returned. So I'll mention more on that at the end of the video. But for my big call in this game, there will be 11 or more goals combined in any quarter throughout the game. Tell you what, these two sides are capable of kicking some high scores. And it's always relatively high scoring round 1 between these two sides anyways. The cracking contests continue on the Friday night. We've got Geelong take on Collingwood at the MCG. I was lucky enough to snag a ticket to this game, courtesy of someone just sent it to me randomly, which I'm very thankful of. But yeah, I'm really excited about this matchup as well. Obviously, the last time these two sides faced off against each other was arguably the game of the season. Pressure was as high as I think I've ever seen in a live game of footy. And, these two sides are going to be up and amongst it this season, particularly the Cats. They're obviously coming off the back of a flag, so I guess we'll see how they're going to return in 2023 to defend their claim for the premiership. And then the Pies, they're going to be hungry after last year. As incredible of a season as they had, they certainly could have possibly made the grand final there. So they want to make a little bit of amends. They want to get a bit of revenge over the Cats as well because they weren't able to beat them last year. So I think this is going to be a really, really cracking contest, a close contested game of footy. High pressure as well, massive crowd. I would lean on the Cats. I think the Cats probably should win this game. They're the classier side, but I can obviously see an upset, and I almost feel like tipping an upset. I actually remember specifically at the BBL, I got told, and I promised them kid at the BBL that I'd tip Collingwood in round 1, and that's still stuck with me for some reason. So because of that, and also a couple other factors, because of the Pies, just the fact that they're able to pull those plucky wins early on, I reckon the Pies are going to win this game in a really, really good contest. I don't see this game being a shit one. I'm going to go the Pies to win this one by 8 points. And for my big call, I'm going to go Nick Dacos. He's going to have a bit of a feature and a presence in this game, having 30 or more disposals and scoring 2 or more goals. So we head now to the Saturday games. We've got 4 Saturday games on the week of round 1. And the first one being between North Melbourne and West Coast at Marvel Stadium. This one's going to be a pretty difficult one to predict, to be honest with you, because obviously these two sides finished bottom 2 last year, where the cellar dwellers, they were just completely atrocious, but they're expected to at least do a little bit better, particularly North Melbourne, obviously under Alistair Clarkson, and just, as they continue to develop in the years coming, they obviously should be getting better. But yeah, this is a somewhat difficult game to predict because, again, with the Eagles, I think they could be okay. They looked all right in their practice games, that game against the Power as well. And, they're certainly capable of getting the job done. I think in the last fixture between the two sides, obviously North Melbourne won, but they shouldn't have won because of all the COVID top-up players. And West Coast aren't going to have that to worry about, as well as their injury list is nowhere near as bad as it was last year. So given the fact that it's played at Marvel and the fact that I slightly rate North Melbourne more leading into this season, I'll probably just go for what I think will happen, and I think North Melbourne probably get the job done here in an okay game of footy. I don't really expect this one to be that big of a spectacle, particularly when these two sides are not going to be playing off finals this season. But yeah, I think North Melbourne get the job done in this one. I'm going to go 16 points, and my big call for this game will be that there are 10 or more combined behinds than goals in the game. The next game on the Saturday at the Adelaide Oval, we've got Port Adelaide and Brisbane. Now, this one is I personally reckon this is one of the biggest round 1 clashes Port Adelaide have ever had. Obviously, after Port Adelaide's 0-5 start last year, they're going to try and want to redeem themselves this year, make amends for it. And what better way of letting that go than to beat the Lions that are probably expected to finish top 2 in round 1 for the first game. And as much as I think they're capable and I think they're going to have a fairly consistent season, the Power, and all right, they are very, very much a struggle against the very top sides. And I really don't know if the Lions are going to drop this game. They were looking really, really scary against the Swans and the Cats in the practice games. Gunston looks pretty good. I saw the likes of Dunkley looking pretty good. And Ashcroft, he's going to be a generational talent. So a tough game for Adelaide to win. I think they are probably capable at their best. It's at the Adelaide Oval. But I certainly think the Lions are more the favourites in this game regardless. I could see the upset happening, but to be honest with you, I think Brisbane will just be too classy, and it'll be a sort of game where it'll be tight for a lot of it, but Brisbane kick away in the last. They get all the momentum, and they dominate the quarter, kicking like 6-7 plus goals, and they're capable of that sort of stuff. So I'm going to go the Lions, win it by 28. Sorry, Port fans, I'm just not completely yet sold on the Power. They've got to prove me wrong. Win this game, they'll prove me wrong. But yeah, Brisbane to win it by 28 points. I'm a big call with that Jack Gunston in his first game in his new colours, kicks 5 or more goals. We head to the Saturday night clashes. The first one at the MCG. We've got Melbourne and the Western Bulldogs, the 2021 AFL Grand Final rematch. And it could be a good game of footy. The last time these two sides played off, what a game of footy that was. The Dogs winning that one by 10. But in this game, I just don't know about the Dogs if they're going to be up to the challenge, because they're not normally the best against top sides, and Melbourne is certainly a top side. And over the last couple of seasons, they've always been able to get off to a really, really strong start. I think starting 8-0, 9-0 in 2021, and obviously last year starting like 10-0. So yeah, it's not giving the Dogs much of a chance in this one, particularly the fact that it's at the MCG. And I just see the Dogs like sort of falling off in a way this season. I'm not sure. They are still, capable at their best, their class and experience and all that sort of stuff for the players that they have. They can tape it up to the Ds and win this game possibly, but I just see the Ds getting a controlling, comfortable victory here in a somewhat boring game of footy. I don't really see it being very high scoring, the Ds with their defence and all that. I think they can lock down the Dogs forward pretty well. And I don't know, I just sense the Ds just get a pretty comfortable win here, and I'm going to go them to win the game by 35 points. With my big call that the Ds kick 6 or more consecutive goals at any stage of the game. Now this game, even though I'm not going to be watching it, as I'll probably be at Melbourne v Bulldogs, will be the game that I'm almost looking forward to watching more. We've got Gold Coast taking on Sydney at not at Metricon, at Heritage Bank Stadium. I won't lie, I know it's a sponsorship name and what really can they do, but that is just a terrible name for a ground. Like Heritage Bank Stadium, too long, no one's going to call it that. Metricon was a lot better, but regardless, the Suns are hosting the Swans at their home venue, and this is going to be a really intriguing matchup to see sort of where the Suns are at leading into round 1. I think they're certainly capable of winning this game. The Swans, I'd almost say, have the Suns as their bogey team, because even in years where Sydney have been really, really good and Gold Coast have been really, really crap, Gold Coast has still been able to knock off the Swans in just really, really strange ways. And whilst I think Gold Coast certainly not as bad as what they were back then, I think they're going to have a pretty good season here. The Swans also would like to recover from their really poor grand final loss and, sort of put those doubters to bed. I think there's going to be a lot of lead changes, fairly high scoring as well, possibly. But given that it's at home game for the Suns, I'm just going to call it a home game for the Suns, or Carrara. Given that it's at Carrara for the Suns, given that the Swans don't typically play that well against the Suns, and also because I think the Swans won't be as good this year, I'm actually going to go the Suns in what you could probably call an upset. I'm going to go the Suns to win it by 13 points. And my big call for this one will be that the Suns trail at 3/4 time and win the game. We've got 3 games now on the Sunday. This one at 1:10 p.m. We've got GWS take on Adelaide at Giants Stadium. Now, obviously, Giants aren't expected to do too much this season, with many tipping them to finish bottom 4, myself included. But they looked okay against the Suns, and I don't know if things can sort of go clicking for the Giants this year and they can get off to a good start in the season. They really key players such as Whitfield, Green, Cornelio can actually play well. Then you never know, the Giants might possibly be a half-decent side this year and could even possibly contend for the 8. I don't think that's going to happen, though. I think if any team's going to contend for the 8 will be the other side that they're playing, and the Crows. I think the Crows have what it takes. I think players such as Darcy Fogarty and Sam Berry are going to have really good years. And with this one, I think even though the Crows I'm somewhat surprised they're actually not favourites in this one. I think they're going to go into this game really, really confident and really, really looking and expecting for a victory here. It is somewhat of a tough one. I could certainly see the Giants winning this. They're certainly capable, particularly against the Crows. The Crows away aren't even that great of a side, and the Giants can be okay at home. But then again, I think the Crows, they're going to be good this season. They're going to be a lot better, and these are the sort of wins they're probably going to want to pull off if they want to have a chance of making finals. And yeah, I honestly think what will happen in this game, the Giants will have control for it a lot early, but then the Crows just are able to come back, and I think the Crows can win this game in a good comeback. Win it by 2 points in a thriller. And a big call, the Giants are up by 25 or more points at any stage of the game. This game's going to be pretty intriguing at the 3:20 time slot at the MCG. Hawthorn take on the Essendon, the old classic modern day rivalry. Two Victorian clubs at the MCG. Should be a cracking game of footy, even though these two sides are probably not expected to do very well. I'm not going to lie. Hawthorn, many tipping them to finish bottom, which was what I actually had as my prediction. And the Bombers, again, I don't know. It's just going to be another meh season, an average season. They're in a bit of no man's land, I feel, the Bombers. This will be a competitive game, though, because these two sides are more evenly matched. I think Hawthorn can certainly play at their best. Good enough footy to win this game, but yeah, the Bombers, they want to get off to a good start here. I think they're a better quality side than Hawthorn this season. They really should pull off a win here. You shouldn't expect them to drop this one, but they certainly can. They've done these sort of things before. Yeah, I think the Bombers win this one in an okay game of footy. I reckon it would be a somewhat close one. The Bombers win it by 18 points. With my big call, any side will go goalless in the first quarter of the game. Now, this is the final game of the round, and as a look at the odds, I think a couple of days ago it was even Stevens, and now the Saints are $2.40 to Freo's $1.55. Of course, we got St Kilda taking Fremantle at Marvel Stadium. Geez, this game I'm pretty nervous for, to be honest, because we've got to get off to a good start, or a promising start. We can maybe afford to lose this because we are coming up against a side that are expected to do pretty well this season, the Dockers. I think they're going to be up there for a long time. But again, I just want to show something. I want to see something from the Saints, because last year, round one, we played Collingwood, who were expected to do terrible, and we just showed absolutely nothing. We were just really, really lackluster with our ball movement. Didn't really look like we actually wanted to compete out there with the effort. And yeah, we just looked tired and sluggish in that game, and I really don't want it to be the same case this year. Ross, the boss, obviously new coach for this season. I'm really excited to see how he's going to shake up the game plan for this season. And I think for this one, against this former side, the Dockers, you know, could give us a bit of an advantage in this one. I don't know. It's going to be difficult, though, because I had a look. Tim Memory's not playing. So, yeah, with our forward line, there are going to be real question marks on where we're going to get our goals from. With no Memory, King, or even Jack Hayes, where the hell are we going to get our goals from? Mateus Philippou, he I reckon, is going to have a big game, to be honest. He's going to have a big season. And Cam Eady as well. He's going to have to play, you would think, as well. And again, with the Dockers, whilst at the moment they've got a better forward line, I don't really rate it that much, and I really see this game being a low-scoring scrap. But I am confident, the same last support in the Saints, that will actually put up a fight and really be in the contest throughout the entire game. And I'm actually going to go out and say that we'll win this game. You've got to be confident round one. Obviously, not many people are going to be backing the Saints, and that's fair enough with how we're expected to go. But I think if we can just get things going and just convert every chance we get inside 50, like we did against the Bombers in the practice game, and defend well, I think the Saints can win this game. And I'm going to go the Saints in a good game of footy by 8 points. And following on with what I said about it being low scoring, my big call will be that there are going to be 19 or less goals combined throughout the game. So those are my tips for round one. It's going to be a really interesting round of footy. Not expecting to get anywhere near 9 out of 9, but hopefully I can get a good 6 or 7 out of 9. We've got Carlton over Richmond, Collingwood over Geelong, North Melbourne over West Coast, Brisbane over Port, Melbourne over Bulldogs, Gold Coast over Sydney, Adelaide over GWS, Essendon over Hawthorn, and St Kilda over Fremantle. I'm looking at all of these fixtures, and I can honestly see any of these results going either way because of how evenly matched up this competition is going to be, and with the games that have been decided for round one, which is good. And I think that's a good idea, the fact that the AFL has scheduled games between sides similarly played. So we're going to get a really exciting, close first round of footy. But yeah, those were my tips and predictions and big calls. For the big calls as well, we're going to keep it similar to how we did in the previous two seasons, for 2021 especially. Pretty simple. If I get less than 3 of my big calls correct, there's a punishment that I have to do, but of course I'm not going to do any of them. They've got to be appropriate enough and a punishment that I feel comfortable enough doing. So leave the comments down below. The one with the most likes, most appropriate. I'll complete the punishment in an upcoming tips video throughout the season. And yeah, now that I know more people, more context, I'm more confident, you know, acting like an idiot in public, I reckon I can get more of these big calls done as compared to previous seasons. If you want comment out a punishment, see how many likes you can get, leave a like in this video, comment down your round one tips. And if you've just found out the channel and you are in for some footy content for this season and want to indulge in it, this is the channel to be for tips and all of the other content as well. So yeah, thank you everyone for watching the video. Really, really excited to get stuck into round one content and just footy content in general. And we'll see you very soon in my next one.